the Lambo and go drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Stumbling out the Uber, grab my hand, gave me the notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Hold you down till you dry. Hold you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I was sipping more for 2 years straight to the face. Champagne belly bubble still won't go away. Last year my best man hit a stain with bare face. Now he's gotta help beyond the water's cold.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you all to another episode of This, That, and the Third. This is your boy Hook. I'm here with the homie Shannon. And Shannon, can you guys see me this week? I know last time we could see you.
We see you right now, and you're not sideways. And
all right, man. Okay. Yeah, I know. All right, last time I found out, like after the show, that apparently my screen wouldn't show me at all. It showed everybody else. So
I was trying to text you. I was trying to help you out. I was trying to text you.
Man, I was locked in. You know, I wasn't paying.
It was a good conversation. It was a good conversation. So you was laser focused.
All right, for sure. Well, you know, as you guys know, we're the podcast where real conversations meet real community impact. And with Allendale Special Town Council election coming up on July 15th, we're bringing you interviews with candidates hoping to shape the future of our town. We're going to talk goals, values, and what they plan to do if elected. So you can, head to the polls and make an informed and empowered decision. This is your town, this is your voice, and ultimately is your vote. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Now, Shannon, before we do, just how important are local elections?
Oh, I think they're more important than our national elections. Like those are the people that really, really, really impact your direct community. You know, they understand the services, they understand the community, they understand the people in the community. And those are the ones that speak up for you. And then go to state elections, go to our state representatives and our national representatives and really tell them what we need in our community. So they're extremely important. They're more important to me than, a presidential election or a statewide election.
Yeah, and most people, I know they focus on the general election, but honestly, those elections aren't going to impact you as much as the local, because with local, those policies and those new ideas are really going to directly impact, your way of life and also your well-being. So, again, we do want to continue to push that. Voting is important. Yes. So here we are. So we are going to get into it now. Although we do have some pre-prepared questions. If time permits, we'll also do our best to incorporate some questions from the viewers. The voting public. Maybe hear some questions, field some questions from them, since they'll be the ones actually going out to cast the vote. And my panelists in Allendale had actually given me a heads up, saying that the weather's kind of bad down there. So if they have to, if they got to dip off real quick. Grandma always said, you don't talk while it's thunder and lightning outside. So, so if they have to dip off, we certainly understand why. So we'll do our best to get through as much of the conversation as possible. And I'd like to start by having each candidate briefly introduce themselves and tell us why they ultimately decided to run for town council. So, Angela, we're going to start with you. So, tell the people who you are and why you ultimately decided to run for town council.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Grant. I am been in Allendale for over 25 years. I moved here when I married my sweetheart, Marion, and raised a family here. Children are grown. Um, Recently, I retired from my state job for did over 28 years in state service. On Monday was my last day. So I have time. I have time today. I have time to run for city council to dedicate some more time to public service. I've always wanted to be a part of public service, but I didn't have time. I didn't have time to focus on that need because that is very important. As you can see, there are a lot of issues going on in this community. And I believe I can bring something to the table. I can bring my experiences from state government to the local town. I love to work as a team player, work across lines. Um, I'm very family oriented. I love this community. My husband and I live in this community because we love the community. As you all know, a lot of people move away from Allendale County. And a lot of people stay because they have no choice. They have to stay. But there are people here that have a choice that could leave. And we choose to stay. And a lot of people here choose to stay. And because of that, we choose to serve. I want to be a part of making Allendale a better place to raise a family and bring more industry and more resources to Allendale. So yes, the reason why I chose to run is because I have time. I have time to dedicate just to that. And I'm excited about it. My husband's excited about it because we're in this together. We're a team. And I believe I can make a difference.
Absolutely. We appreciate you. All right, Amanda.
Hello, everybody. I am Amanda Francie Gill, and I've lived in Allendale for many, many, many years. I've raised my children. I'm in the hair care industry for over 30 years. I'm very passionate about Allendale, about this community because I love it. Not just because I have a business here and it gives me income, but because I socialize with people and this has become a home. I just I love the residents. The residents they just show when I first got here, they just showed me so much love. And like I said, being a stylist, a owner, you hear various things. So I decided to run because there's a need for a lot of things in this community. Infrastructure needs to be repaired. We need more recreational center, well, more recreational things for our youth as well as our senior citizens. There's just and just so many things that can be done, and they need an advocate, somebody that lives here in this community that feels their pain, that know what they're going through. So and I'm that person because whenever things go on here in Allendale, you wouldn't be human if you don't feel the infirmities of your neighbors, the residents here in Allendale. So most of the people they know me, and I chose to run because I love this community, and they need a voice, and I'm that voice for this community. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Amanda. And Tibby, you got it. We're having trouble hearing you, Tibby. Okay. Tibby dropped up for a second. She's probably going to be joining us back again soon. And we'll have her introduce herself when she comes back on. But in the meantime, we will go ahead and start with the first question that I have for you guys. So first and foremost, again, well, I think she's coming back now. So give me 1 second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Tibby.
Okay.
You got the floor.
Okay, I'm Puerto Rican T.B. Brabham, born and raised here in the town of Allendale. I'm compassionate about my community. I'm very community oriented, so I'm here, there, I'm all over. I'm listening. I'm hearing the complaints. I'm seeing the issues. I've also served on council once, so I'm aware of all the things that needs to be sorted out, and I'm willing to work with the present council to move Allendale forward.
All right, glad to have you. And again, I want to thank each of you guys for coming on. Again, like I said, although I was born and raised in Allendale, I no longer live there. I have a lot of family there, including my mom, uncles, and aunts. And I obviously have a vested interest. And I think we all want what's best for Allendale. But I think, again, this is going to be the opportune time for you guys to speak to the voting public. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get things cracking. And again, you can answer in any order that you choose. But the first thing I do want to ask you guys is, well, the first question is really twofold. The first thing is, what do you love most about Allendale? And how has that love for Allendale shaped your vision for its future? And again, please feel free to answer in any order that you so choose.
This is TB. I'm speaking. Well, I love the spirit, the community spirit in Allendale. When it comes to issues and when things arise, we tend to know how to get together and stand with each other. And I love that about us. My vision is to build on those strengths, fostering a safe, inclusive environment where everyone can prosper. Um, we are also a college town, so I see a bigger vision. I see better for Allendale.
Okay. Well, I want to say that I love Allendale for many reasons. Um, but most of all, I love Allendale because one, my sweetheart is here. I'm a sweetheart in Allendale. As we served together in the Army National Guard, we met, and I, when we got married, that we weren't going to move anywhere because Allendale is his heart. He loves this community.
Mm.
Because my husband loved this community, we stayed, and eventually I began to love this community. And so about 23 years ago, I began to work in the community. And working in the community that you live in, it it does something different to an individual. When you work somewhere that you have no connection to, you go to work and you come home, you feel nothing. But when you work in a community that you live, it becomes so personal, and you see the need and you meet the people. And I worked in the school system, so I know all the kids, parents, teachers. And so I began to love this community. I loved it so much that I even began I became a T-ball coach, my first ever being a coach of any sort when my children were smaller, a part of the recreation department, because I had to do something. My kids were small, so I had to do what they do. I'm the type of parent, if my kids are somewhere, I'm going to be there no matter what it is. So I didn't miss a game, whether it was cheerleading practice, dance practice. It didn't matter what it was. I was there. But I worship in this community. My church is here. My church is back home, is in Scotia. But when I moved to the community, I moved everything. I began to worship here. And I always tell people Allendale is the center of everything. It is such a beautiful countryside, and it's close to everything. Some people say it's far, but you have access to Savannah. You have access to Hilton Head, Augusta, Georgia, Columbia, and then you get to come back home to Allendale, to this great country town that my kids love because they love to ride four-wheelers. Okay? So we have grown to love this country community. And my daughter, my baby girl, always say she wants to live in a community like Allendale because she loves the country feel of it and the people. And I've met so many beautiful people here in Allendale. And so Allendale is just so spectacular to me. Um, and if we could, and I always ask my husband, said, honey, are we going to move? Because now that we're retired, I was like, why don't we just move closer to Augusta, to the city? Because when you get old, only go to the doctors, right?
Mhm.
Like, nope, we ain't moving nowhere. We staying right. We're going to stay right here in Allendale. We just have to drive to Augusta. But Allendale is my heart. Allendale is my heart.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Angela. Amanda, what you got?
So, why I love Allendale most of all. Allendale is a strong community. It's resilient. It's family oriented. First moved here. When they say it took a village to raise children, that is it's a fact. It takes a village to raise children. And when I had my children, it took a village. Most people know Ann McKnight, Josephine Frazier. Those people, they helped me raise my children. There's so many others, because when you do hair, my kids were always in here. So, they would take my kids home. They helped me raise my children. Even in the school system, a couple times I had to get off my job to go to the school. But one day, one of the teachers said, "Don't get off your job anymore. I got this." And from that point on, Miss Rebecca Butt, I had no more problem with my children. They never had to call me after that because when I tell you, she handled it. She handled the situation. That's why I love this community. The older generation, they made me who I am, but they also made my children who they are. Despite their faults and their defects, this is, they have the upbringing. They have, the greatness is still in them. They always, this community always pour rich things into our children, into my children, and as I watched them grow, I didn't do it by myself. Even though I'm from Barnwell, I've been here for many years, so this is my home now. I'm a single mom. I raise my children, but not just by myself, but with the help of community people here right here there, and I'm thankful. That's why I love, this place. It had a great recreational facility, a great recreational program. Um, it's just so many things. Business. I've been in this business for over 20 plus years. So I love this community because when things hit the fan, we come together as a community, as a family, and that's what's important. Being a family. This is family.
Absolutely. And thank you guys so much. And that's really being a native of Allendale, that's very refreshing to hear. And a couple of things you guys mentioned. Tibby, you mentioned you wanted to create a community where everyone can prosper. I know that's one thing that's big because you have some people that are well off and some people that aren't. So you want more balance, right? You also mentioned it's a college town, right? So USU Talkahassee's right there. If we can, that is another another landmark, if you will, another positive that Allendale has, and a lot of people really don't know that. So, and they built that campus up because I went there for a couple of years myself before going to Aiken. And so I'm an alumnus of that school. All right. So I know, and I'm just a byproduct of how successful those individuals can be coming from a small school like that. Amanda, you mentioned, the first thing is, it seems like you've been now fully assimilated into Allendale. You're from Hampton County, but and Amanda as well. So you guys aren't necessarily native Allendalians, but you're there now and you're doing a lot of work that even some of the natives of Allendale aren't even trying to do. So I certainly commend you for that. And you also mentioned it has a small country feel. And that's one of the things I love about going home. Is like once I enter Barnwell and I'm going home, it's like all the stress and all the worries I have, they're just washed away, and I can just go home, relax, and enjoy my family. And that's why it really does hurt when people find out I'm from Allendale and they bring all this negative stuff and things like that. But that's not the Allendale that I know. And Amanda pretty much nailed it. It takes a village to raise kids, and it wasn't just my mom to raise me. It was our neighbors. It was everybody. I could be, because we didn't have cars. We walked everywhere. So I could be across the track and do something. By the time I walk my behind back home, my mom already heard about it.
Yeah.
Right. And now I have to face the consequences of those actions. But, it's everybody. But I didn't see it then, but that was simply people who aren't even my relatives, my family, looking out for me and making sure that I was doing the right thing. So So again, I think that's extremely commendable. And I did have another question for you, but Patricia Johnson, she just posed the question, and I think she phrased it better than the way that I was going to phrase it. And what she's asking is, and I'll post it here. Basically, she's asking, what are some of your long range and long-term and short-term goals for our community? So what are your short-term goals for the community, and what are your long-term goals? So you guys, please feel free to go ahead and answer in any order that you choose.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
So based on what I see and what I hear, some of the needs are in Allendale. So I need some stability as it relates to staffing, as far as police officers, administrative staff, people who know how to properly maintain the financial systems in our town and our county. I know, we have been known not to provide accurate records as it relates to audits. So I think we need to build upon that. Our short-term goal is to get police officers hired, and of course retain them so we can deter some of the crimes in our community. And in order to do that, you have to bring about resources or financial resources to do that. And so I think we need to look into financial resources to hire and retain good police officers that want to work here, that want to be in this community, not just show up, work 8 to 4 and go home. I'm talking someone who wants to be a part of the community. You can't just, and it doesn't matter what you do. You're the trash collector, the police officer, the administrative assistant. You can't just show up, clock in and clock out. You have to want to be a part of this community. You have to put your heart into it, because when you work and live in a community, you have to have some type of feeling. And if you don't plan to love the community that you work in, then I don't think we want you here, because we want you to be a part of this wholeheartedly. So first and foremost, we need to hire police officers. We need to find a way in order to generate funding to pay police officers. I know it's a dangerous job. And when you have other communities surrounding us that are paying more, it is going to be hard to get police officers to come to Allendale, because we all know the cost, what it costs to live in America. We know it's not cheap. So I also think that we need to start making sure that people are in place in our offices, in the administrative offices, that know how to do their job. Okay. You're not going to always find somebody that know how to do it right off the bat. You may have to train someone. You may have to mentor someone. You may have to, mold someone. But when you find that one person, you take care of them. You send them to every training they need to go to. You get them mentors. You find them help, resources. Don't tear them down, because you see, and everyone see, nobody stays. There's a reason why they're not staying. We want people to come and we want them to stay. If you don't have continuity or keeping the people in place for a period of time, you're never going to get ahead. You're always at all that starting over point. We want people in place that's going to be here for the long haul. So we got to work on that. Work on getting someone here who knows how to write grants. Not only just write grants, implement them. Finding other ways to pay for resources. You're not going to always have the money to do it yourself. It's always better to spend someone else's money. So I think we need to find somebody that knows how to go after other people's money. And then maybe you have to do a match. It's out there. And after you get the money, you have to make sure that it's implemented the way that it was supposed to be implemented, meaning holding some accountable, making sure that there's processes in place that people are held accountable for funding that's supposed to be used for one purpose and they use it for something else. I think people are tired of hearing the stories. I don't know how true it is about funding being used for something that it wasn't supposed to be used for, or we lost this because we didn't do this and we didn't report this. Time out for that. We got to put people in place that are going to follow the rules, the law, and hold people accountable. people and watch the step from the beginning to the end to make sure we get ahead. It's a lot of work to do, but we can do it. We can get it done. But we have to come together as council members, because when the council members are bickering and the community see it, that makes it worse. We be on one accord. You have to support each other and respect each other. And there's a way you can do that. But if you want to argue, argue off camera, off in, in your private sessions. But when you come out, you need to be one unit. You need to be one unit. So but first and foremost, we need to get the important things, because we have an issue with crime, with no crimes going solved with all these murders. We need detectives. We need police officers. And I don't know, it shouldn't take that long to hire a police officer. And I think we had one police officer for what, 5 or 6 months now. It didn't take that long to hire someone. Who's in charge of hiring? Who's the recruiter? You shouldn't have one person recruiting. Everybody hands on deck. You got to have a team, not just one person. You have to have a team of recruiters. But there's a lot, and I know we can do it. Work together. Thank you.
Yes. So yes, it's like Angela said, Miss Grant said, it's a lot to be done here in Allendale. But Miss Pat's question, like right now, what we need is we need an active administrator. Allendale has not had one for nearly 7 years. Council has been running this town, and they've been doing a good job. But we need somebody that's qualified in that position to help, take care of Allendale needs, such as, hiring, appointing, police officers here. Making sure the town has a grant writer, making sure we have a zoning officer, making sure that this town is run properly, like such as the infrastructure of the roads, making sure we have qualified people for wastewater management. These things that we need like right now, and we don't have them. I mean, we need, we need an administrator to help run Allendale. Council's been running it, but it's a two-edged sword to that. Council's been running the town, but also council has been making the decision. So you want to kind of divide and conquer. You want everybody to have, what like council has been, elected for a job, and the administrator has been hired to do that job. So we get everybody in place, and we've seen it work before years ago, you know, and because we've seen it work before, it can work again. Some of the other issues would be recreational for the children here in Allendale. A lot of times there are no programs for the children. Like this summer, when I had my granddaughter, I called around. I was asking, do we have summer programs, for her? She's only 7. So what I had to do is I had to transport her to Barnwell. So we need programs such as the DIG program, the DIG STEM program. It was when I tell you it was phenomenal. It was great. That's something that Allendale needs for our youth. We need to get our youth involved. At first, she didn't even want to come, but the first day, she didn't even want to come home. That's the kind of program that we need here in Allendale to, offset some of these children's behavior. And you got to have people in place that have patience, with these children. And not only that, going to another issue would be small business, promoting the growth of small business. When they had the Propel program here in Allendale, very few people signed up for that program. That was an opportunity for somebody to walk away with $10,000. Maybe one person signed up for that program from here from Allendale. So I'm not even sure if that program even exists anymore because nobody wanted to participate. So that would be a way for small business people that's trying to get up and running. Those programs will help them. Palmetto, I think it's Inventive Center in Barnwell. they're for the small business, for minority as well as others. It helps people because when I went to that program, it blew my mind. I thought I knew everything about business, but I knew nothing. But when I finished that program, I knew a lot more than I ever being in business for 20 plus years. It just and then the infrastructure, the roads. I'm looking out at my road now. I'm looking at a big pothole. So when my clients drive up into that driveway, it's going to mess up their car eventually. And apparently, I have it's a water leak somewhere. And usually in this area, that's what it does. We have water leaks, we have potholes, we have a lot to do. So in the long run, the long years from now, I think that question was asked also. How do we see Allendale? I see Allendale once like it was. It was a bustling town, a town that was full of life, full of adventures, full of growth, businesses that was open to the public, welcome, the business had a welcoming, atmosphere where people came in, a place where you felt at home, where everybody knows everybody in this area. That's just how the business whenever you walk into a business, it just made you feel like you were at home. It didn't make you feel like, oh, I'm just here to spend money. It made you want to spend money because this is how it made you feel. So down the, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, we want to see Allendale regrow, be rebuilt. There are a lot of grants out here that where we can help with the rebuilding of Allendale. These dilapidated buildings that need to go down, there are programs that are out here. I worked on as a zoning officer, and there were a lot of programs that we tried to implement to council. Of course, a lot of times, we were shot down. But needless to say, there are programs out here that can help Allendale. So that's my bill.
Did everybody go? I had a quick question, kind of
No,
to follow up on that.
yeah, Tibby hasn't gone yet, so Tibby,
Okay,
you
go
can go ahead.
ahead.
I agree with both Miss Angela and Miss Amanda. Um, I feel like for the long term goals, public safety enhancement, implementing crime prevention strategies, also finding funding to install the rest of those cameras that they've already purchased, things of that nature. There's funding out there, like Miss Angela said. We need a grant writer in place. First of all, we do need an administrator. We need a qualified administrator that's willing to stick and stand by Allendale and not just come for 6 months and then leave. That's what we've been dealing with for years. And as Amanda stated, we have the council that makes the decision. The council's running the day to day. Something has to be done, and it has to be done immediately. Also, with the infrastructure, it looks horrible. Potholes everywhere, every sidewalks, grass grown up. I mean, these things need to be addressed immediately. So I totally agree with Miss Angela and Amanda on that.
All right, Shannon, you had a question?
Yeah, I guess my follow-up question, kind of getting back to like some of the goals is what will be the one thing on day one you would want to do? And just real quickly, like the first thing that you have in your heart to do on day one if you are elected.
The first thing I have in heart to do is get with the grant writer and speak with some other people in the community that may have knowledge of outlets there to get this funding to put these other cameras up. I feel that's imperative. That's the top priority of mine.
Those cameras came up last
They
podcast.
did.
They
They
did.
did.
They
Yeah.
did.
And it was the funding that was keeping them from being put up. The amount that Dominion was charging. So I feel like it's out there. We just got to reach out and get it.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the town had purchased cameras. Did the town get a grant for the cameras and the installation wasn't included in the grant, or do you know how they acquired the cameras?
Well, Mr. Wiggins, from my understanding, he worked on the grant. They were able to put about 5 or 6 up, and then some sort of lawsuit type thing came up. Hook, maybe you can elaborate more on that with that part.
I think
Yeah,
last
And then
time
they were charged after
they
that.
did have an issue or someone filed a complaint, and so they had to stop because Dominion didn't want the cameras on their poles.
Okay.
But Angela, Amanda, what would be the first thing day one would be the very first thing you think you would want to tackle?
Well, I talk about putting people on the ground, boots on the ground, with police officers in the community, patrolling, um, detectives solving crimes, preventing crimes. But in order to do that, you need resources. So you definitely need funding in order to hire and retain good police officers. So that's twofold. I would hire police officers at the same time seeking grants um, to supplement their pay in order to get good quality police officers and be able to retain them. You have to have something to attract them here. So, and a lot of people say, well, money is, yes, it's always about the money. So yes, I think you should pay them and you should pay them well, but there are resources out there. I know that there are resources in order to supplement their pay. So I think we should work on those at the same time.
Amanda, you have one?
My thing is like I said, it's so many, but it's it all has to be combined together. The first thing would be like to get council together and to let them know that we're working for this community. We're not working for each for our own selves, but we're working for this community. So then I would, get to them and say, after 7 years, after so many years, what's the hold up on hiring an administrator so that qualified administrator can do day-to-day duties such as hire, will help recommend, look for police officer, grants, um, tax collecting, so many things that an administrator could help with. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, Amanda, because last time we had the podcast, no one mentioned that there was no administrator.
It's not. Hadn't been 7 years.
That's completely new information. Hook, am I right? No one
Man,
brought up
no.
the fact that, well, for me, it's new information. No one mentioned or discussed or had dialogue regarding there not being an administrator for the county. So I don't live in Allendale. I've never lived in Allendale, but I have family ties. My family's from the area. And I would think sort of like what Amanda was saying, if you don't have an administrator to oversee and actually manage and direct what is happening, because town council, I think those are elected positions, so it's not full-time roles. People probably have other responsibilities. So the administrator is the person there, in my thought process, who is making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and the planning is happening. The council can't necessarily do that in a day-to-day real-time kind of way like an administrator was. I'm totally shocked. Again.
Yeah. First it was the police thing. Now it's the administrator thing. So
and that the police officer, he didn't live in Allendale.
Nah, he from what I understand, that he didn't live in Allendale, and he only wants to work weekends, from what I understand. But hey, I only report what I hear, right?
What I hear. This is secondhand information.
Then I think,
exactly.
I think if I'm not mistaken, we've had in the last 4 years, I think we maybe had 4 or 5 years, we've had like 3 or 4 administrators. Don't hold me to that, but close to that number.
4.
And close to that number.
Yeah.
They only stay the longest
for a few months and then they leave.
Henry Ullman, he stayed 1 year.
Okay.
Everybody else stayed less than 6 months.
Right.
Oh, wow.
7-year span.
Well,
We really didn't have anybody come in to actually assess Allendale and say, well, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. And then, without council, I'm not saying that they're micromanagers, I'm not saying that. But then, you need to let them do their job. And then council do their job. See, when we're elected for the people. Right. When you hire an administrator, it is not only for the people, but it's also to make sure everything is carried out day to day. So we haven't had one since Mr. Dwayne Ennis. It's been just that long.
Yeah, I guess I'm just still really shocked that the current town council didn't mention that to us on the show. Yeah,
and that's very shocking, obviously. And these are things that honestly, I'm not sure how many people in Allendale even know that. I'm sure plenty do, but there may be some that don't. But again, it comes back to being like communicating with the public and being transparent. People need to know information. And part of the problem is when you. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I recently found out that there was no town administrator. I didn't know, and I live here. So I assumed there was a lady there who was still working, but I didn't know.
Yeah, and I think part of the problem with that is that when you have, high turnover like that, there is no consistency.
No.
So you have four different administrators over the past few years. Everybody's goals and ideals are going to be different. So, and that's part of the problem. And also for me, when I think town councilman, right, I think of someone who's selfless. Because you are working for the people. That should be your primary concern, not
Yeah.
to necessarily better yourself. And again, I don't have any inside knowledge or anything, but there have been rumblings, so to speak, that some members of the town council are more for themselves, and not necessarily for the people. Again, I don't know that to be true. It's simply what I heard. But what I do know is that where there's smoke, it may not be fire, but it's something burning. So
Yeah, that just seemed like that's the most
right.
critical issue to me
Yeah.
is the
I've been out talking with citizens of Allendale, and one of the main questions that they ask me is, do you have a mind of your own? Do you make your own decisions? And I always say, no one never makes my decisions. I have a mind of my own. They want somebody that's going to stand up for the people and not go along with the flow because the other members want it, which I think as a town officer, you work for the town. You don't work for yourself. You don't work for the other council members. When you tell the citizens that you're going to do, you don't tell them things that you can't do, but you tell them you're going to do the best they can for the people. And I've seen the budget. I've seen the budget. I don't know if anybody else on this platform have seen the budget.
but that should be public record, right?
It
It
should
is.
be, but the budget is a little inflated for council members because we're public servants. We should be serving on the council to be paid.
Exactly.
I'm not saying you shouldn't get something, but this is not a job for you. This is you serving. You're a public servant.
Exactly.
And I agree. I think when you have a budget for council that's at $100,000 for a small community, that's a problem.
Um, and not only that, I want to, not put all of Allendale business out there. That's why we're
It's public knowledge.
as residents, we're taxed with an extra $10 because nobody knew how to work the equation as far as how Fairfax is supposed to pay a certain bill. So as residents, the residents now have to pay for somebody else's mistake for the last, say, 5 to 10 years because we haven't had an administrator to go in and work this equation to where Fairfax paid their portion and Allendale paid their portion so that the residents and business owners is not stuck with somebody else's bill. Right now, that's what we're faced with. We're faced with somebody else's bill because we don't have anybody qualified to figure out this equation. Who's at fault? Who's taking the blame? Nobody, but we know who has to pay that fee. The citizens of that.
Yeah, that was a topic that came up too, and I think we had somebody from Fairfax that was making comments
Yeah, I think so.
about that bill. Yeah,
Mhm.
they were saying, we've asked for it, we haven't gotten it. We've asked for the detail or documentation that supports it, and we haven't gotten it. But they were willing to pay.
Yeah. And Angela, you said that the budget for town council is 100,000. Oh, I lost her. So I'll have her. She's probably going to come back here shortly.
How many town council members are there, or should there be?
It should be 6. I think 5, and we're running for that particular seat.
So it's 100,000 divided by 6 persons.
I don't think it's like that, Angela.
Yes, I'm listening. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
lost you for a second.
Yeah, Angela, you said earlier that the budget is $100,000, right?
From what I saw, unless there's something that I don't understand, I believe what I read was the council's budget. Yes.
All
Does
right.
that include compensation, or
And that
also
includes the
what
mayor?
they can give?
I don't know. It does not specify that.
Okay.
Okay.
And there is a salary line item, salary and fringe and travel.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right, cool. And again, that's also important information to know, and I do appreciate that. And one thing everybody touched on, right? We still have we got about 15 minutes left, so this question may take us through that time frame.
Yeah.
But so all right, so you mentioned earlier that about town council, for lack of a better word, bickering, right? And it's public information, because I know that a couple years ago, maybe a year or so ago, maybe longer, there was a situation where the mayor, maybe someone from town council got into it, and it became this really big thing. And from my understanding, that's pretty much a common occurrence. Now, I work in corporate America, and I work with a group of about 45 individuals. And if our thinking is not aligned, we're not going to be productive, right? And if we do have issues, we discuss that amongst each other, but those who we're serving, they have no idea what's going on. They don't know the internal spats or disagreements that we have. Now, because you guys are pretty much vying for a town council, and we know that there's not a whole lot of cohesion there, like how do you approach conflict or disagreement when working with others on town council? Because we have to be able to practice conflict resolution, right? So how do you approach, when people are conflicting or have differing views or disagreements without it spilling over to become like something more volatile?
Well, I feel like when it's a disagreement or when something like that arises, you hold that, and when you get an executive session, that's when that is discussed or addressed.
I agree.
And that way the general public won't see you with the bickering back and forth because you're behind closed doors.
Right.
So I also feel the same way, but also when it comes to council, everybody just feels like they're right, in their own personal view, in my own mindset, in what I think is right. It's my view. My mind is how I see things. So I want to argue, and this is how I was with my children. So my son had to teach me, "Mom, it ain't about you." So with that, being on council, we have to express it's not about us, but it's about the people that elected us. We have a job to do. We can't get this job done if we steadily and readily at each other's throats. We have had council members that had great ideas, awesome ideas. But because of issues, or I'm not particularly on your team, or I particularly dislike you, it's not voted on. But we forget that it's about the residents of Allendale. It's about lesser people. It's about the people that voted, us in. If that happens, it's about the people that voted for a council to have this particular opportunity to make Allendale great, to make Allendale a place where we can call home, where we can look at, the bright lights and say, "Oh, this is my home. I'm proud of it." But until, if the conversation arises, and if a disagreement arises when I'm around, my thing would be, "Hey, this is not what we're here for. We're here to serve the people. We're not here to serve each other. We're not here to argue each other's point. We're not here to bash each other. We're here to do a job for the citizens, for business leaders, for the community leaders that's here in Allendale. That's what we're here for." So, and with that, you got to be stern. You got to be, fierce. You can't let them, back you in a corner and say, "Well, I ain't gonna say nothing." You have to say something, because it's time to say something, and it's time for something to be done. It's not about us. It's never about us. We're all wrong, but I only know one person that's good, and that's the Lord. Jesus is the only good person, and and we got to see it. My flesh is no good, so I can't look at nothing and say, where such and such ain't no good, such and such make bad decisions. When it comes to Allendale, we have to make decisions that pure and from the heart, and that will help and benefit the residents here in Allen. So that's why you have to draw them all back in and say, hey, we got to all get on one accord. In order for this to work, we have to get on one accord. In order for Allendale to be successful, in order for business to come here and flourish, we all have to be on one accord.
I agree, Miss Amanda.
Yeah. And speaking of the budget, I just checked the website and there really isn't a budget out there since 2021. And there's no audit done since 2020.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
So that's a big problem.
yeah,
When
and
you-
I guess
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's one of the larger issues with small communities. But that's no excuse because you're a small community. There should be an audit every year. There should be a budget every year. And there should be people in place who know how to do those things, working for the community, working for the town, and working for the county government. There should be no time pass when the people of this community does not know where we stand financially.
Amen.
And we are unable to do that if there's no audit and there's not a budget in place. So you're just spending all willy-nilly if there's not a budget and you don't know how your year ended. With administrators, and I do notice that we do pay an outside firm to do the budget. However, when you have a qualified administrator on your team, all this should be done in-house. You shouldn't have to pay someone outside to do something that you should be able to do in your own house.
Correct.
Now, if you
I'll
don't
just
have
put
skill, then that's different. But you need to hire someone with a skill who knows how to do budgets for the town and know how to begin the process for annually audits. That's not an excuse. We need to get back on way doing government the right way, and we should not accept that.
Yeah,
And I just want to put a caveat out there that I don't see a whole lot of updates on this website since 2022.
Exactly.
So it may just not be. I don't know if I have the right website. I just want to make sure I say that.
Yeah, it's been down for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Citizens can't even get updates because the website was down. I remember one time in council meeting they were talking about it, but nothing has been done about it as far as updating the website.
Okay.
But now it's down.
Yeah, and I'm one of those curious individuals, and I don't know if current citizens of Allendale are even asking, but if I look and I see that an audit hasn't been done in 5 years, to me, my ears are gonna perk up like, okay, so like what are we doing? You know, where's money going? Like if there's no communication, there's no transparency. So that may be one of the reasons some of those rumblings are kind of out there, because when you don't have facts, you come up with rumors, whether it's true or not. And the thing is, rumors are far more hurtful than facts, because you can't prove if it's right or wrong. And so here we are in a situation that we don't necessarily have to be in because of lack of transparency. And again, all you guys have been great. We are running a little short on time, but I do want to end. I want to ask. I have one final question for everybody, but the question is twofold, right? The first thing I want to ask is, why should the public vote for you? And two, what will you do if you're not elected? And Amanda, we'll start with you.
The first question is basically I'm transparent. Most of the community know where the salon is. Our window policy. They can come in and pretty much talk to me about anything. And that's one of the things that, we need to do is listen to the complaints of the citizens. What are their needs? What do they want? What they also have a voice here in this community. So it's just not us as council, making the rules and, setting them and then knocking them down. Citizens, they have a voice in this community also. But and what was the other question?
What will you do if you're not elected?
Oh, if not elected, I've always worked in the community. I just didn't start in this community. I'm still as a zoning officer, well, ex zoning officer. It was just so much that not pat myself on the shoulder, never would, because I could never take credit for anything the Lord allowed me to do. But I volunteer with this community. I do Relief for Life. Anytime when
Yeah.
Chief Fingers needed help with National Night Out, I volunteer my service. Help him set that program up. So this last year was a very successful year because of help that he asked for help, so I gave him help. So I've always been in this community. I clean up this community whenever they have a cleanup. We have it every quarter. I'm one of the ones that's out here on Bluff Road. If you drive by my salon, you won't see a lot of mess and junk and everything. So I clean up, my area. So even if not elected, most people know me. I'm still gonna be in the community. I'm still gonna be voicing my opinions of, what I think we should do in this community.
Glad to hear it. Thank you. All right, Tibby, same question. Why should the voting public vote for you? And in the event that you're not elected, what will you do?
I've learned that it's important to listen and adapt to the community needs and concerns. And I'm that one to be a voice for the community. I not only go to people's homes and houses just when I want them to vote for me for something, but I'm always out there in neighborhoods, always talking to folks, always helping folks, always lending a helping hand when needed. And if I don't win the election, I still plan to work in my community. And I have some things, irons in the fire, that I have some things going on working with community groups getting together. We're going to do this crime prevention thing. I'm working with Tommy Capers on that. So I just see Allendale being bigger and brighter with whoever is elected. Good luck to all of y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Angela, same question.
I believe that I can bring a wealth of knowledge to the town as it relates to budgeting, audits, federal grants, state grants. I work extensively with those with my now retired employer. And not that I want to do them, but I would assist those who would like to or be a part of that process so we can bring other financial resources to the town of Allendale. I'm already offered assistance, even if I'm not elected, to the city of Allendale and to the county of Allendale. Because, like I said, I have time now. And because I have time, I want to be able to do something that would help this community. So I am definitely making myself available to those who would need and would like extra help.
Good deal. Thank you so much, Angela. And
Yeah.
Shannon, let's get your Shannonism, sis. What are your thoughts on what was discussed?
Well, I have an affection for Allendale because, like I said, I have family roots in the area. And these last few weeks that we've covered this topic, I am continue to be blown away. At first, I was blown away by the fact that the town doesn't have a steady police force. And now I'm hearing this time about the administrator. And I'm kind of saddened. I'm saddened that hearing what people were talking about, how Allendale used to have a sense of community, even how Amanda shared, people were a village for her, and to see that the town has kind of shifted so much. It really saddens me. And I hope that the town can elect officials and work with the officials they already have to really, really, really come up with a plan to take the town in a different direction. To really sit down and figure out what we all agree about versus what we don't agree about, and focus on the strengths and not all the negatives, and really, really, really bring everybody together as a community and try to fix this. Because to look on a website and see nothing out there from 2000, 2001, 2002, it's really ridiculous. And I just really hope and pray that you guys can figure it out.
We will.
Thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you.
And for me personally, again, everyone knows I'm from Allendale. I love Allendale with everything in me. And again, it's truly disheartening whenever Allendale is in the press for the wrong reasons, because that is not the Allendale that I know and love from growing up. And again, for the candidates, I have no dog in the fight. I don't have a favorite candidate. I don't. I only want what's best for the town. Based on the conversation from each of you, it sounds like you all want the same. And I really want to thank each of you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Amanda, Tibby, and Angela, thank you guys so very much. And good luck to you. Obviously, so I know that the election is about 2 weeks away, a couple Tuesdays from now. So the election's pretty much here. So again, for the voting public, make sure you guys go out. Make sure you voice your vote. And as we say in the land of Alpha Phi Alpha, a voteless people is a hopeless people. So it's pertinent that you get out and cast your vote, because not voting is indeed a vote. So you want to make sure you cast your vote for your candidate.
Say that twice. Say that twice.
Absolutely. Not voting is indeed a vote. People think because they missed the election that it doesn't matter. Your vote could be the deciding vote. So these are three qualified, passionate individuals who obviously have love for the town and the county and whatnot. So just make sure you guys go out, voice your opinion. And I'm confident that regardless of whatever direction the election goes in, these three women are going to do what they need to do to make sure Allendale continues to trend in the right direction. But again, this has been a great conversation. I'm thankful to the three candidates. Shannon, I appreciate you as well, as always, my partner in crime. So again, until next time, continue guys to stay curious and stay informed. We'll be talking.
Yes, good luck to all three of you. Good
luck, guys.
Yes.
Thank you. Good night.